Welcome to the Credit Card BS podcast. My name is Shaun. I went to UC Berkeley for college, where I taught a real course on credit cards that students got actual units for. I've been to many countries traveling using credit card points, including the Maldives, Dubai, Singapore, and Hong Kong. Today, I'm joined with my co-host, Sherwin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sherwin. I'm super excited to be joining Shaun today to discuss some credit card hacks. I first got into this hobby a bit more than a year ago. Since then, I've opened 9 cards and have planned countless number of trips using credit card points with my family. And I'm very excited to share some of the more niche tricks and hacks I've learned along the way. And for those of you wondering, the reason this podcast is called Credit Card BS is because Shaun and I attend Berkeley and Stanford, respectively. And we have decided to put away our differences today to discuss the absolute best techniques when it comes to award travel.
Exactly. And today's topic of choice is IHG hacks. So if you're not aware, IHG stands for Intercontinental Hotel Group. They own a variety of hotels around the world, ranging from luxury hotels like Intercontinental all the way down to budget offerings like Holiday Inn. So we're going to discuss everything from the basics of the program to how you can get nearly unlimited discounted IHG stays.
Yes, and I really feel like this is an underrated program. It can be a little more complicated to learn, and it's not as flashy and reported about as like some programs like Hyatt among travel blogs. But you can really extract a lot of value if you learn this program and how to play it right. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we'll start with some of the basic things. Let's talk about the status you can earn at this hotel program by staying a number of nights.
Yeah, so IHG status, really, to be honest, it's only decent at the semi-top tiers. So there are 2 top-tier statuses, Platinum and Diamond, are where things get interesting. So at those 2 tiers, you're technically eligible for suite upgrades at hotels. So when you check into your room, there's a chance they may or may not give you a suite. If they don't give you a suite, hopefully you can at least get a better room type. And so what's cool about these statuses is they're pretty easy to earn, at least for Platinum. So do you want to talk about that more?
Yeah, so the easiest way to earn platinum status is not to stay, I think, the 40 nights that you typically require. But in the US, you're able to open the IHG Premier credit card or the IHG Business credit card. Either of those will give you platinum status automatically as long as you have the card open. We'll get into more details of the credit cards in a bit, but let's keep talking about the status thing. Shaun, have you ever gotten any special upgrades that are memorable from your platinum or diamond status, IHG?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm actually IHG Diamond right now, and that was not because I've legitimately earned it. There was a kind of a glitch a couple months ago that you could just register for Diamond status, which is pretty insane. Diamond status, the main advantage over Platinum is that Diamond includes full free breakfast for 2 people. So I've actually only had 3 IHG stays myself. So Intercontinental in Hong Kong, Intercontinental in Singapore, and Six Senses Lamu, the Maldives. So I'm not going to count Six Senses here because that's kind of a unique property. So I don't think that really, it's, not really fair to judge the diamond and stuff benefits there. At Hong Kong, I got a pretty decent upgrade from like the base room to like a harbor view room. What was kind of special about that one is it was during New Year's Eve. And so the fact that they upgraded me at all was pretty generous. I don't know if I would have gotten higher because it was fully booked. Like the hotel was legitimately
What kind of room
booked
did you
out.
get?
So I was upgraded from like base room to a club level harbor view skyline room, but I didn't get club access. It's just a club room, which is annoying.
It's just like on a higher floor, basically, right?
Higher floor, and then maybe like upgraded amenities, they say, but I didn't know anything specifically.
Depends.
But yeah, Intercontinental Singapore refused to upgrade me to even a junior suite,
Oh,
despite them
cringe.
having full availability. Yeah, it was not great.
I think my experience is also mixed. I've not been to as many IHG properties as you have so far. I do plan on going more in future. And unlike you, I'm a lowly platinum status member. The best luck I've gotten, funny enough, is at a Holiday Inn where I got upgraded to a suite, and that was nice. It wasn't like super high end or anything, but it was good that they honored the status. I did go to an Intercontinental in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. And they were a bit stingier. I don't think platinum status meant as much to them. Uh, so it took a bit more push and pull to get upgrade. And even so, there were better rooms available that they didn't quite give out. So I think overall with upgrades, IHG is not as generous as World of Hyatt, but it is still better than booking third party and just getting the room that you booked for the most part.
Exactly. Only amateurs stay in the room that they book. That's our motto. I think it's also worth mentioning, I think we should talk about ambassador status. So with IHG, it's kind of weird. So most programs, they'll have like one set of loyalty status. So like, typically you'll have, gold, platinum, diamond, that kind of stuff. IHG has a secondary loyalty program called the Ambassador program, where they only have 2 tiers, Ambassador and Royal Ambassador. Royal Ambassador's invite only, so let's not look at that. It's like really difficult to earn. But with Ambassador, you just pay for it. There's no earning it. So it's $200, and then you get a couple of different benefits. So you get like a drink credit, you get 4 p.m. guaranteed late checkout. You're supposed to get a guaranteed room upgrade, although I think it's unclear if that works for point stays or if it's only cash stays. Do you know any more about that? Because I've heard mixed data points on that.
I think with the new IHG One rewards, they've been changing things. I don't recall what it is for Ambassador. I have to double check, but I know it used to be that upgrades were not part of the loyalty program if you booked on points for anything. But I think when they switched to the new IHG One rewards, they took that clause out, the terms and conditions, but your mileage may vary depending on the hotel you go to. I also do want to add that with these like guaranteed benefits for the ambassador status, like 4 p.m. late checkout and room upgrade, if the hotel is unable to honor that for some reason and you do have platinum status, there is a way in which you can get like a number of points or some kind of credit, I believe, that the hotel is required to give you under the terms. Yeah. And I would also add, like, in addition to, and the $200 to buy ambassador status is not just for that one stay. It is for like the entire year of your membership. That's one time. And probably the easiest way to break even on that is they give you this anniversary free night that comes with the ambassador status when you purchase it. Now that does expire, and it is kind of hard to use because it has to be on the weekend, and it's more like a buy one get one voucher where you have to pay cash for one night. The second night is supposedly free, but then you have to pay taxes and fees on that night, and then the rate at which you're forced to book the first night to trigger that second night might be higher than the best available rate. So it's hard to put like a set value on what that free night award is. It's more like a buy one get one free coupon, but it is a decent way to justify the $200 annual membership fee for ambassador status.
Yeah, I haven't used my free weekend night personally yet, just because of what you mentioned. There's that issue where it's not really a free night. The rate that you have to book that first night to get the second night is like usually higher than the cheapest rate normally.
Right.
So,
and you can't use points,
but yeah,
which is like the whole point.
And you can't use points. It's like if you could use points for it, then it'd be great. The other thing is, what's interesting about Ambassador is that it does come with platinum status. Like officially, you get platinum status. So if you don't, let's say you're not in the US and you can't get the IHG Premier card, or let's say you're over Chase 524, you can't get the card, you can just buy Ambassador status, and that comes with platinum automatically.
Yeah, and way cheaper than spending 40 nights to get platinum.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous to spend.
I don't even know why they have the silver and gold status is below the platinum, because like it's so easy to get platinum. One other thing is the ambassador status technically related to the Intercontinental brand and not to the IHG program at large. So the benefits we talked about really only apply to the Intercontinental hotels. However, that platinum status that you do get from purchasing the Intercontinental ambassador status is the IHG status that can be honored for IHG properties. So it's a bit complicated, as I said, with this program, but hopefully that clears things up.
Yeah, I think they have a very kind of odd program, given that there's like 2 separate versions of it. But yeah, so the other interesting thing I think we should mention is this is a completely unofficial, and this is not an official benefit. They could pull this at any time. But it seems, and at least in my experience and a lot of other people's experience online, is that if you have diamond status, whether you actually had earned it, or you had gotten it through the glitch a couple months ago, or the easier way we'll talk about in a little bit is spending $40,000 a year on the IHG credit card. You can, if you purchase Ambassador or renew Ambassador, it has been showing that it's extending your status a year with your Diamond status. Now, that may or may not work for you. They could pull that at any time, but for me, it worked, and for a lot of other people, it's been working.
Yep. I mean, I don't have any personal data points to confirm or deny that because I do not have Diamond status, but I have seen a lot of discussion about this online. So your mileage may vary. It's not in the terms anywhere. It just kind of happens. IHG IT is very strange. Like sometimes things work, sometimes things don't, and sometimes it seems like they put a lot of effort into implementing something like this, and it's weird.
Yeah, I wonder if it is an IT glitch or if they're just trying to unofficially reward ambassador members.
There are
Maybe they don't
so
have
many
enough
glitches.
people.
I don't know if you've seen this yourself, but last year there was a period of time for like a couple hours when all the award prices like were cut by like half. And if you had booked during that time, you got like a crazy discount. And nobody knows if it's related to that incident where IHG literally got hacked or like and there's discussion about like nobody knows what it was crazy. I was looking at like, for example, like Holiday Inn in like Hawaii, which is like a pretty expensive place, and it went down to like 25 or 20,000 points a night for those few hours. And if you booked with the 4th night free benefit, which I'll talk about later with the credit card, like you're getting the room for like more than half off the cash rate, which is
Oh my.
So I don't know what their IT
Yeah.
does, but sometimes you might be able to take advantage.
I heard about that same glitch they had, yeah, where they like just slashed the award prices because some of them, I actually got in on it accidentally for one of them. When I was actually booking the Intercontinental Singapore, it went down from like 56,000 a night to 35.
Ooh, you might
There were
have
some
even be
other
able to use the
ones.
certificate.
I did use a certificate. That's
Okay.
that's what was nice is I went from paying points on my certificate to, just using just the cert and not having to pay any extra points, which is great.
Yeah, and one thing we should mention is the IHG uses the dynamic award pricing model. So instead of something like what World of Hyatt has or what Marriott used to have with an award chart where like a hotel is always going to be worth X number of dollars, or sorry, X number of points based on how instead of it always being worth a number of or cost a number of points based on the category, IHG's a point value is sort of tied to like how expensive that room rate is. So it can really change depending on what day you book and what hotel you book. And there's no predefined award chart. And normally I'd say that's a pretty big disadvantage or red flag of a loyalty program. But from my experience, like the point values for IHG have been like fairly stable. Like rarely will you do worse than like half a cent per point.
Yeah, that's what's been interesting to me too is that typically, yeah, when any company implements a dynamic pricing, it's always trash. Like it's almost always trash. Like especially in Hilton's example,
Oh, yeah,
it's really
Hilton's
only
bad.
decent at the high end. Hilton is it's completely ridiculous. But IHG actually has solid dynamic pricing, and
Yeah.
especially what makes it good is, and we'll talk about more. I guess we can talk about this now a bit, but buying their points is so cheap. You can buy IHG points for very, very, very cheap. And so because IHG points aren't worth that much per point, you don't want to transfer it from any of your transferable currencies. So if you have like, Chase points or whatever, built points, it does not make any sense to send them over to IHG because it is literally just dumping money down the toilet. But it's so cheap to buy IHG points that if when they're having their sales, you go and buy a bunch for half a cent a piece, it's almost hard to lose money if you're staying for increments of 4 nights because the IHG credit cards in the US, the 2 annual fee ones, the business and personal, give you 4th night free when booking for point stays. So it's almost hard to lose money, I would say. Like, sure, there could be a couple of examples, but you're almost always going to get a discount when buying IHG points on their half a cent a piece sale.
Yeah, and like definitely, please do not transfer your Chase Ultimate Rewards. Like if you think about it, you could literally redeem your Ultimate Rewards for cash back at 1 cent per point, and then use that money to purchase the IHG points at 0.5 cents per point, and basically it would be like a 1-to-2 transfer ratio. But at that point, you might as well save your Chase points or something else like World of Hyatt, and then just purchase the IHG points, half cent per point. I think even without fourth night free, rarely will you go below half cent per point on a redemption, which is something I can't say about Hilton, but I can say about IHG, at least at the moment. So hard to go wrong from my experience.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's, and I like your example of how it literally makes more sense to cash out your points to buy IHG points. Like
Yeah.
there is zero excuses whatsoever ever to transfer a single point to IHG when you can just cash them out and buy more IHG points for that
Yeah.
price. And
their 100% bonus sales have been going on like quite aggressively. I would say like multiple times a year, like every few months, you can buy them at half a cent per point. So unless like you really need them immediately, which there's another hack to do that. Like if you just wait like 1 or 2 months when it's not on sale, it'll probably be on sale. Oh.
exactly. Yeah. And I think another thing that's just so broken about the program is normally, basically every program, every points program has a cap on the number of points you can buy because they know that there are these sweet spot redemptions where, for example, let's say you want to go to the Maldives and the cash rates are $1,000 a night. You can buy the points for, let's say, 600 a night. Basically, every program has at their top tier redemptions lets you do that, where you could buy points and stay at their top tier properties for significantly cheaper. But the thing, so because they know that, they have a cap on the amount you can buy, right? They don't want you to go buy unlimited World of Hyatt points, unlimited Hilton or Marriott points per year. IHG has a similar cap, but there's a loophole because there's a way that you can buy unlimited IHG points at 0.6 cents per point. So do you want to talk more about the technique of doing that?
Sure. So when you are booking an award stay, typically there will be a number of points associated with each night. However, there is an option for you to pay a mixture of points and cash. So, and there are like different levels. So if you pay fewer points, you'd pay a little more cash. You can pay, and there's like a different tiers. But what's interesting is that if you select one of those points plus cash options, they'll deduct your points for the stay and they'll charge you for that cash amount. But what happens is if you cancel that stay, you'll get your the points portion refunded. But instead of getting that cash portion refunded, you'll be refunded the equivalent number of points it would have taken to book that entire night on points. Let me give you an example. For example, let's say this night costs 30,000 points if you only use points, but they give you an option, let's say to pay 25,000 points plus $25. Okay, let's say you do have 25,000 points, but you want to buy additional 5,000 points. So you would pay the $25 and book that with the 25,000 points. And then when you hit the refund button, they'll refund you 30,000 points. So you're able to, buy that difference of points using cash, if that makes sense.
Exactly, yeah. And so because of their weird, it might be just that their IT is bad or whatever, this loophole lets you buy unlimited points, assuming you already have some in the account, right? Assuming you have some base amount in the account, you don't even need that many, just, like 10, 20, 30,000. You can buy unlimited of them at 0.6 cent a piece. So if you've reached the cap for the year, now, yes, 0.6 cents is a lot worse than 0.5 cents, but you can still find insane discounts at IHG properties all over the world, from their top tier luxury hotels like in the Maldives to some of the Six Senses properties to even like local city hotels and Holiday Inns. It's a really interesting way to just get insane discounts. And so if you're someone that's like paying cash for your hotel stays, if you're willing to drop a couple $100 a night on a nice hotel, this is insane because you can just get discounts like almost anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I've seen very easy examples where you can get like 0.8, 0.9 cents per point, often even more than 1 cent per point if you're doing the fourth night free trick, which we'll talk about in a bit. So again, as I said, hard to go wrong buying the points at 0.5 or 0.6 cents per point. There's one thing I did want to mention, and this is not just because of a glitch, but because of how that dynamic pricing works. It is, for some hotels, it's tied to the cash rate, and the cash rate can change. So the price of the same night can change depending on like when you book it. But if you book something and then the price goes up later, you'll pay like the original price as long as you don't cancel it. so you won't pay the higher price. But if you book something and it goes down and you're still within the cancellation window, you could cancel and rebook it and get some of those points back. So it's a good idea to monitor some of those stays to see if the points fluctuates, similarly to how you might monitor like a flight price or hotel price that you're paying with cash.
Exactly. Yeah, I've done that actually before. So when I went to Hong Kong, the Intercontinental Grand Stanford, I got a pretty decent discount by canceling and rebooking it. And yeah, that's a very good point. You should always, assuming the cancellation policy is somewhat generous, it basically always makes sense to book the hotel once you think there's a chance you might go, because once you book it now, you'll never pay higher than what you just booked it at. But if the price drops, you can always rebook it. So there's not really a risk, assuming you have the points to float and you're aware of the cancellation policy and all that.
Yeah, just be aware of the cancellation policy. Some like resort type places might do like a 14 or 30-day cancellation window. So instead of a 2-day cancellation window, which is typical for most hotels. So you do want to keep an eye on that. But generally, if you're booking with points, you'll just get refunded if you cancel. And even if you book a cash rate, as long as you book like a flexible rate rather than an advanced purchase rate, which I generally do because I think the flexibility is important to me and worth it. They won't actually charge your credit card until like you stay. So like you could cancel pretty easily, or you don't have to put money up front for it.
I agree. I think a lot of people, when they book non-refundables, they're not considering one of the biggest risks. It's not that the risk, oh, you might not go. It's the risk is that the price might drop. Because if the price drops and you book a non-refundable rate, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
And so there's plenty of times booking the refundable rate is actually cheaper than booking the non-refundable rate. So I think like a lot of people really need to consider that. Like you're not just risking not using the stay. Keep in mind, like the price you see is not guaranteed to be the lowest price you'll ever see on that hotel. So it could be cheaper to book the refundable.
Yeah, and what's great about booking hotel nights with points is that generally any night you book as an award is going to be flexible, and you can cancel it up until 2 days before arrival. Of course, there are the exceptions, like the resorts have a longer period, but this is why, like, when I'm calculating how much like I value the points, I'm really comparing it to the flexible rate rather than the perhaps cheaper but non-refundable rate, because to me the points are worth that flexible rate because they are flexible.
Exactly. Yeah. I think now, should we talk about, do you want to talk about the IHG credit cards now? Because
Yes.
I think that's a very important tool for people like getting into IHG.
Absolutely.
Or anything like that.
I think if you're going to play the IHG game and you're in the US and you're able to open credit cards with Chase, absolutely highly recommend these two cards. I think they're so underrated. So there is a no annual fee version that we're not really going to focus on because we think the annual fee alternatives are much better and much more worth it. So the two cards I want to focus on are the IHG Premier card and the IHG Premier Business card. For the most part, their benefits are identical, so I'll just refer to them as the same card. And you can have both of these. So both of them come with a $99 annual fee, but there's a very easy way to recoup this annual fee each year. Shaun, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the easiest way that you get the annual fee back is that every anniversary year, so not the first year you open the card, but every subsequent year after, they give you a free night certificate worth 40,000 IHG points. And so to put that in perspective, to buy 40,000 IHG points at the very cheapest sale would be $200. And so I think you could easily get $200 in value out of that 40,000 point certificate. And what's also nice about it, unlike most point certificates for like other hotel programs, let's say the hotel you want to book, there'll be a lot of these hotels that are very suspiciously 41 or 42,000 points a night. And then you go, wait, I can't use my certificate here. But IHG implemented it, so now you can top off your certificates with points. And there's no cap to how you can do that. So the hotel could be 120,000 points a night, and you could still use the certificate there as long as you pay the 80,000 point difference. So that's like a really, really easy way to get the annual fee back. It's basically, worth double the annual fee.
Yeah.
And then that's not even including the big sign-up bonus that you'll get with both of these cards.
Yeah, I would be surprised if you cannot find a hotel room that you can use the certificate on that costs less than $99. Now, do keep in mind these certificates expire 1 year after they are issued. So unlike points, they're not as perpetual. So you do have to like keep planning on using them for you to get value. And the other thing I want to clarify is that these certificates are good for one night only. So if you have 2 nights and each of them are worth 20,000 points, you can't use a 40K certificate for those 2 nights. And if you book something that's lower than 40K, you're not going to get that difference back. So I would argue that the best use case is something over 40K, and then you just top up a little bit, so it doesn't feel like you're losing out on the value of the cert.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think most places, especially in the US, will probably be slightly over 40K. I think like some good redemptions just off the top of my head would be like Intercontinental downtown LA. That's about 40,000 a night. I think there's a couple other
Oh,
intercontinentals
some
in the
nights
United
are
States.
40,000, some are a little more.
Some are more, yeah. Some
Yeah.
go like a bit higher. But if you're going like during an off-peak time, it's pretty easy to get
Yeah.
a free night there, or just top it off a little bit. And then I think, yeah, another a really, really important part of the card. So other than the sign-up bonus, typically the sign-up bonus on the card is about 140 to 160, 170 thousand IHG points,
Most of the time it's
which is a significant bonus.
140K. That's easily worth close to $1,000 of value just for opening a card and spending $3,000.
Definitely, yeah. It's a huge bonus. I think a lot of people could get like really good value out of it. But I think the most important part of the card, in my opinion, the biggest reason to have it, so is the 4th night free award benefit. So do you want to talk more about that?
Sure. So all of these IHG cards, as long as you have the card open and it's linked to your account, will give you basically a buy 3 get 1 free benefit that you can use unlimited number of times. It's not only like once a year or once. So anytime you book a block of 4 nights using points, you will only be charged the points for the first 3 nights. And I think this is really useful and powerful. Like, if I recall correctly, like Hilton and Marriott do like a 5th night free, so you'd have to buy 4 and get 1 free. But IHG is buy 3 get 1 free for a total of 4 nights. So that's just such a steal, my opinion. Also, the way they calculate it is not based on like an average of the 4 nights, but literally whatever that 4th night is, it's free. Like even if it's more expensive or cheap, so you could like strategically maneuver it so that like the 4th night is like the most expensive one if you wanted to.
Yeah, I've done that before. So when I actually in Hong Kong, because it was New Year's Eve for the 4th night, I made sure that the 4th night was New Year's Eve, which was by far the most expensive on points or cash.
Gotcha.
And so I had a very good rate because I only paid for the first 3. And the other programs like Hilton and Marriott, which offer a 5th night free, they do it based on the cheapest award night. So whatever of those 5 nights, whatever one's the cheapest is the one they take off. IHG just says whatever the 4th night is, it's on us. So that is really, really powerful, especially if you are staying during some peak season or some holiday.
Yeah.
You can make that holiday your 4th night. And so you're not paying for it, even if it is double the price in points, which, could be given that IHG has the dynamic pricing.
Yeah, and it does need to be one stay that is consecutive, so at the same hotel. So you can't just do 2 nights here and 2 nights at a different place, or like 3 nights and then check back in a week later. Like it does have to be consecutive for it to work.
Definitely, yeah. And you also sadly can't use the 40K certificate in combination with that. Even if you are topping it off, that's a separate benefit.
Right.
So it has to be all entirely booked on points. Can't be points with cash, but for most cases, I think it's pretty good.
I mean, theoretically, you could create a stay that's like 3+1 using this benefit, and then the 5th night will be the certificate. So that could be a good use.
Or
yeah.
I think if you were going to do that, my advice would be to use the cert on the first night, assuming the pricing is the same. Only because for that one night, if you have a 1-night stay, right, the hotel's much more likely to upgrade you because they're not giving up the suite that much. And then once you've already gotten that suite or that upgraded room, you call up the hotel and you say, hey guys, I have another stay actually. Can I just keep this room?
Interesting.
And if you're already in the room and it's available, they don't want to they don't want to make you move.
Yeah.
So you've kind of
very much a your mileage may vary situation, but it could be a good strategy. But I would also look at like how much the price is on the nights and which one's the most expensive, if to determine like whether to put the certificate at the beginning or at the end. That's a factor I would consider in addition to the thing you just talked about.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. Like, don't do it if the pricing is different. I would only recommend trying it if the pricing is identical, or if it's cheaper, if you save points by using the certificate on the front end.
Yeah.
I think we should also talk about the card. So the card benefit also gives you platinum status automatically. which is kind of it's the first tier where the status starts to mean anything with IHG
The
because
second
you're now
highest
eligible.
one.
Second to highest tier, and it's because it is eligible for suite upgrades, you actually can get upgraded on it. And then there's an interesting perk on both of these cards where if you spend $40,000 in a calendar year, you get automatic IHG Diamond. Now, that in and of itself isn't that amazing, but what makes it a pretty interesting value proposition is one, the fact that the cards earn 3x base IHG points per dollar. Like you earn 3x points on any purchase with the card. So that's like an effective return of, I'd say, about 1.5% back base.
Yeah.
And then there's two other rebates that the card gives you when you reach certain spend thresholds. So you did the math on this. Do you want to kind of explain how this works?
Yeah. So basically, if you think about it, if you spend $20,000 in a calendar year, the card will give you $100 statement credit plus 10,000 IHG points. And then if you spend $40,000, so an additional $20,000, you'll get IHG Diamond status. Oh, one caveat is that once you hit that $20,000 threshold, you do have to make an additional transaction for the additional $10,000 and the $100 statement credit to post. So don't forget about that. But basically, if you meet these two thresholds, so you spent $40,000 with the 3x multiplier, that is, you're getting 120,000 points. And then you also get additional 10,000 points from hitting the 20,000 thresholds. You're getting 130,000 IHG points. You get diamond status. And then depending on like whether your big spend requires a fee, like for example, if you're paying taxes, there might be a fee through the IRS, or like if you're using plastic, you would have to do the math yourself, but you can take that fee and subtract $100 from it, which is like the statement credit you get for reaching the 20K threshold. And there are situations where you can effectively get diamond status and all of these points, 130K points, for like less than $1,000 in cost, depending on what you can, what your like your fee is and what your spend constitutes. Of course, if you're like a business owner that naturally has high spend, no brainer.
I agree. I think this is like a really interesting value proposition for a lot of people. At first, when I heard like, oh, it's 40,000 for the diamond status, I was like, okay, that's like not really worth it.
Yeah.
But then when you consider in the fact that you're earning 3x IHG points on that base spend, and then you're also getting those two rebates, right? The 10,000 points and the $100 statement credit, it actually makes it a pretty attractive offer. And then, okay, other additional benefits of the card. So this is kind of like an annoying one, in my opinion. So you get $25 in United Travel Bank credit twice a year. So once every 6 months. Now, it doesn't stack. It expires after the 6 months, which is already annoying enough. And you can, if you have both the business card and the personal card, which, I do, you don't get to get it on both cards. They only give you the benefit once, which is really like, it's like barely a benefit at this point. But if you do take a United flight twice a year, you will save $25 twice a year. So I guess you could, count that as discounting the annual.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually fly United and are able to use it like twice a year before it expires, you could make the argument the card is really only worth $49 or only costs $49 because the $99 annual fee minus $50. But at least for my use case, I can't really value that full face value. I also have both the personal and business IHG cards. So if you have both, like you do get like their certificate from both cards, so that will be doubled, but you will not get the United Travel Bank credit twice for some reason.
Yeah, that seems very odd to me that they don't provide it. But yeah, it is nice. You do get the bonus from both cards,
Right.
And then you do get the certificate from both cards, which is why I opened it, and why I'm guessing you opened it too, just because those 40K certificates for $99 are very, very competitive.
Yeah, and the sign-up
It's just
bonus,
so easy to get value.
like you can get the sign-up bonus for both the personal card and the business card. Right now there are some elevated offers, but let's just say, you're going with the standard 140K offer. If you just open those two cards, that's like 280,000 points. That's crazy. It's almost $2,000 in value. If you really stretch it out with fourth night free and pick like higher end properties, you could get even more. And for a $99 annual fee card, that's It's actually insane, in my opinion. The one other thing is you get TSA pre-check every 5 years or whatever it is on this card. I mean, not that unique or exciting of a benefit because a lot of other cards have it, but I think it's pretty good considering it's a $99 annual fee card if you don't have one that does that.
I agree. Yeah, I think especially like there's not many cards with that low of an annual fee that provide that benefit. I think it was my first card that actually had it too, but and it's kind of one of those things like just like Priority Pass as well, in my opinion. Like your first card that you get it, right? You're like, "Ooh, this is a nice big benefit," right? And then soon enough, you have like 27 other cards that have TSA pre-check or Priority Pass cards. And I'm sitting here with like a big stack of Priority Pass cards that I can't use, and I don't even know how many TSA credits I have at this point. But if it's your first one, then yes, it is nice to have it for sure.
Yeah, everyone's first airport lounge experience special, and then they start complaining about the overcrowding.
I know that it was cool at first. It's really cool. The problem is like now, especially in the Priority Pass lounges, I feel like the food is so bad. I haven't had good food at a Priority
I'd say
Pass
it
lounge.
depends on the airport. Like the Priority Pass airport, for example, in the Taipei airport I've been to is like solid, like like you can order food that they make for you.
Ooh.
They also have a Plaza Premium Lounge elsewhere, but like the club at San Jose Airport, very mid. But we're getting off topic. We should do another episode about
And we'll do it,
airport
yeah.
lounges. Yeah. So, Shaun, do you want to share some of the cool experiences you've had with IHG yourself, like personally?
Definitely, yeah. So IHG points have been very special to me because, like, yes, other than those two intercontinental stays, like those are fine, right? Those are cool. I was able to, and you can't do this anymore. So I got to preface this before you get all excited. This sweet spot doesn't exist anymore. But back, IHG acquired Six Senses Hotels and Resorts, and now that represents IHG's top tier hotel. They're much higher tier than intercontinentals. It's like not even remotely a competition. So back when they acquired it, one of Six Senses flagship properties, Six Senses Lamu in the Maldives, it was bookable for 100,000 IHG points a night. Now, when I first heard about that, right, I only had like personally 140,000 myself. So I was like, okay, this is not even that good of a deal, right? I was like, okay, whatever, right? It's like going to cost me all my points. But then I started to look into it more. And given the fact that you can buy IHG points for half a cent a piece, it's like, wait a second, hold on. This Maldives hotel, which goes for like $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a night easily, I could just buy points and stay for $500 a night. But then I have fourth night free. So we're discounting that by another 25%. So for $375 a night, even without any points already, just buying the points out straight out, I could stay at this place that's $1,300 a night for, $375. And then since I already had IHG points, both me and my player too, we only had to buy like about 160 something thousand each. So I forget exactly what the math was, but we spent $1,600 in addition to the two IHG bonuses we already had. And we were able to stay 8 nights in the Maldives at Six Senses, one of the best IHG hotels on earth. And it was amazing. And we did get upgraded. All the rooms are basically the same layout, but we did get a legitimate upgrade. It would have been several $100s a night to get that upgrade. Because of my ambassador status, we got a couples massage for 2 people, 50 minutes each. My girlfriend doesn't like massages, so they graciously gave me both massages. So I had 2 50-minute massages for free. And it was great. Yeah, we had, and then they treated us very, very nicely. It's the best hotel I've ever been to. Sadly, it's like 200 something thousand points to book. But there are other good IHG sweet spots. In various spots of the world. There's other ones you could find. Some of them, I think there's a few Six Senses. I don't know the names specifically. I need to do more research, but there's a couple other really, really good sweet spots that you can buy points for and stay at.
Yeah, that is actually insane. You said, so your net cost out of pocket was like, what, $375 a night? Is that what you said?
It would have been $375. So it would have been $375 if I had no points to start with. Let's say I had 0 points and I just bought them all. It would have been $375. Now, of course, that's not including the transfers. So regardless if you pay points or cash, in the Maldives, you have to pay for the transportation to and from the airport. That's very, very, very expensive. So for us, it was like $750 a person round trip.
Damn.
Yeah, but you have to pay that regardless.
Wait,
so I don't
that's
really
more
factor that
expensive
in.
than your hotel. That's actually hilarious.
We spent more money, yeah, basically on the transfer fees than almost the entirety of our hotel. like
Crazy.
nights.
That's still such a good deal, and like I know people will like pay thousands of dollars on their honeymoon to go to the Maldives, and like even if you're not interested in like opening 20 something credit cards like Shaun, there's no reason why you shouldn't think about at least like buying points for IHG and staying there at like a fraction of cost.
I agree. It's so insane to me because, and I think we might have been the only people that are staying on points. Maybe like I didn't meet anyone else at least. And we were socializing with a lot of other guests and we talked to people and they kept going up to us and they're like, okay, like, look, I gotta be honest. Like you guys are like very young. How do you afford this? And I'm like, we're not affording it. I'm not paying for it or I'm paying, a very small price.
Yeah, it's
Um,
insane.
and even if you want like with points, right, you have to book into the base room. So like even if you want to stay in a higher tier room, you can just pay extra after. Like if you email the hotel and say, "Hey, I want to upgrade my room," like they'll let you pay extra cash. So like even if you are a very wealthy person wanting to, have a super like splurge luxurious experience, it still makes sense to buy the points oftentimes because just pay extra and it's a cancelable rate and it's not like you have to open a bunch of credit cards. You could have actually stayed there for like 600 a night without opening any credit cards, without waiting for any sales, just by buying them at 0.6 cents a piece, which is half price of what the hotel was going
Absolutely,
for.
yeah.
And no one was doing that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like these type of things and programs, they take, I will admit it takes quite a bit of time to master and to learn the ins and outs of it. And that's not for everyone, I agree. But like the amount of money you can save, the amount of value you can get is just astronomical. And to me, it's not just so much like I saved money, but that like I'm able to travel and do these things that I otherwise never be willing to pay or never be able to afford. So it's almost like opening a gateway of experiences by learning these programs and putting in the effort to do so.
Yeah, 100%. I think like I would never be able to go to the Maldives without understanding points. Like there's no way. Like it's not even like remotely close. It's not like, oh, I saved a couple $100. I couldn't have gone, like period. Not even in a million years right now, right? I would need a lot more money. And it's interesting to me because I think a lot of people view it as something that gets like worse if you have the money to do it. Like some people like have money to do these things like, oh, I don't want to bother with it. It's kind of like almost worse though if you don't do it because for me, right, I gained an experience that I wouldn't have had, but I didn't save any money in the sense like I spent more money to go on this trip versus not go on this
Yeah.
trip. But there's a lot of people who are willing and do pay for these things.
Yeah.
And so it's actively costing them a lot of money not knowing how to do this because if you know how to save several $100s a night and you don't do it, then it's actually costing you several $100s a night.
Certainly. Yeah, and Shaun, did you have to pay a resort fee at this property? So one of
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah. So with IHG, normally you have to pay resort fees for, anytime there's a resort fee, they don't waive it on point, sadly, unlike Hilton and Hyatt. But at this property, there was no resort fee. And so, or if it was done in the form of like a percentage tax, but I did not end up paying any resort fee. So no extra room rate per night, which is great.
Yeah, as Shaun said, I think one of the disadvantages of IHG is that you do have to pay resort fees even when you're staying on points. It could still be a very good deal, but I would definitely factor that in when deciding where to stay. The other program that charges resort fees on points is Marriott. And then Wyndham, Hilton, and Hyatt do not charge resort fees. So, and I guess it's kind of lame because like even for Hyatt, the top tier status globalist, they won't charge them any resort fees, even if they're paying cash. And in IHG, regardless of what status you have, what credit card you have, whether you're staying on points or cash, you have to pay a resort fee. That's just the way it is. But you can still save a lot of money on the base room rate.
Definitely, yeah. The resort fee part does kind of hurt, especially at some of like my favorite redemptions, like some of the ones on my list. There's like an $80 a night resort fee. Even though I'm getting a great deal on points, like that $80 a night still stings pretty bad.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you get bottled water and like some other benefit that nobody
You
cares
get to
about.
use the gym.
Yeah, like I would be like, you know what? why don't you not charge me a resort fee and I won't use the
Yeah, I won't. I promise I won't go in it. I won't use the shared bikes from 5 to 6 p.m. Once a
yeah.
week.
Yeah, I'm not gonna use the Windows XP computer in the business center to print my documents. uh, but I mean, there's some. I feel like some hotels offer decent benefits, but rarely is. Or I mean, sometimes they're like, oh, $15 credit to like rate the snack bar thing in your room, and then you see it as like one box of chocolates is like $18. So I
Uh,
don't value at face value. That's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
yeah. I appreciate it when they at least do something somewhat tangible like that. Like if they do put a credit in it, that does help. Because at least it helps a little bit. I think like a lot of times like the city hotels will do that, like with the destination fees,
Mm.
which also are not waived with IHG points because they don't waive
The fact that they
destination or
have to
resort
call
fees.
it destination fee because it's not a resort is great. But yeah,
Yeah, I think it's so annoying how they do that, and especially like Marriott does that too. Marriott's my least favorite program, but IHG at least has some
that's the
very good
person who
redeeming
still
values.
guns for titanium.
I look, okay. I want my United Silver. I need my United Silver.
Okay, Built had a promo with United. Anyway, uh, earlier where you could do a status match, but um,
Oh yeah, but it was only temporary. It was only a few months.
yeah, but you could extend it if you did like a number of flights in that period
That's
or
true.
something. I don't know. I think between I mean, no doubt everyone likes Hyatt the best. But I think between IHG and Marriott, I would give IHG the edge. Just I personally feel like Marriott has just like expanded too quickly, and many people have reported issues with like elite benefits not being properly honored at hotels. I mean, yeah, I just think it's cringe. It's like, oh, I'm gonna spend 100,000 points at Marriott to go to a Ritz Carlton, uh, and then pay a resort fee to stay there and not get free breakfast because it's not part of Ritz Carlton. Ritz Carlton's not. There's like a whole chart of like when you can and can't get free breakfast at Marriott. Oh, by the way, we should talk about. Did we talk about the free breakfast benefit? Um,
Oh no, we did not extensively talk about. I mean, I mentioned it. You get
yeah.
so with Diamond, you technically have to choose it as your welcome amenity, which is so stupid. That's completely stupid. Like you have to like tell them you want the breakfast. Like who would not pick breakfast over like 1,000 IHG points? Like that's $5. Like the only excuse is if you're leaving too early in the morning. But
Yeah.
so how it works is you get full free breakfast. In my experience at the 2 intercontinentals I stayed at, I'm not counting Six Senses because I believe everyone gets full free breakfast. But at the 2 intercontinentals, it was like a big buffet breakfast. So it wasn't like a watered down version. It was full, anything I wanted. And it included tip and tax. I didn't even have to sign a check.
Yeah. And by the way, like this benefit is only for Diamond, the top tier status. So the platinum status you get from the credit cards or the Ambassador status, unfortunately, do not come with free breakfast benefit. But as I said, probably the easiest way to get to Diamond is spend the 40K on the credit card, which is still a lot. So it doesn't necessarily make sense for everyone, especially if you're not going to stay at IHG that much. Like the amount you're going to save from the breakfast might not be worth it for you to put that much spend on one card because there's a cost to. I mean, I personally feel like every time you put a spend on any card, there's an opportunity cost. I mean, for example, like the base you should be earning is like 2% cash back on everything. Like the City Double Cash, the Wells Fargo Go Active Cash, all offer that no annual fee as a baseline. So to me, you're kind of taking on an opportunity cost of that $40,000 you could have been earning 2% cash back on that. So you'd have to do the math, see if it makes sense for you. But how many breakfasts are you going to consume with that status?
Definitely. No, I think, yeah, a lot of people need to consider that because if you only have like 1 or 2 IHG stays, it's not really going to make sense. But if you are, especially if you are someone though that's like willing to pay for these hotels, and if you start implementing the tricks of like buying the IHG points
Yeah.
for staying like discounted places all over the world, then I think it makes a ton of sense. Like I don't know the the exact number of nights I would say it's worth it, but if you're someone staying at high end hotels and that you are going to pay for the breakfast anyways, I think it can add up pretty quickly.
Yep. Okay, I think that's all I have on my mind. Sean, is there anything else you're thinking of?
I think that's mainly it, to be honest. The only thing I guess we should talk about very quickly is just the milestone rewards
Ah,
with
sure.
IHG. So they do have these milestone rewards similar to Hyatt, where when you stay X amount of nights, you get certain benefits that you get to choose. So it's not directly linked with the status. So like even though like Diamond requires 70 nights, which no one's gonna spend that, let's be real. But if even if you have Diamond, like you don't automatically get the milestones. You actually do have to reach the night thresholds. So a couple of them, and I don't know the order that these come in, but I think the two interesting ones, in my opinion, are the confirmable suite upgrades, where it's kind of like Hyatt Suite Upgrade Awards, where you can confirm a suite. I think it's like up to 5 nights for IHG. Um, and then, but you have to do it like 5 nights or like 14 days in advance. So it's not like Hyatt, you just do it when you book. You have to do it like, so the suite, if it has to be available within 14 days. And then the other one's the annual lounge membership. So do you want to talk about the annual lounge membership?
Yeah, I forgot which number of nights you earn it at. Let me check. Okay, yeah. So when you say
I want to say it's
40 nights,
40.
yeah, you can choose to get an annual lounge membership, and that lets you go into like the club lounge at Intercontinentals or Kimptons or whatever hotels have that. So it's the what's interesting is that the club lounge membership is not tied to the platinum or diamond status directly, or even to ambassador, but rather is something you can select once you actually stay 40 nights, which I doubt that many people will. So I can't really speak to that from my personal experience. Also, a lot of these milestone rewards offer you a selection. So you actually have to go in and pick. For example, when you hit 20 nights, you could pick between 5,000 points, 2 food and beverage rewards, or 1 confirmable suite upgrade. And then you would go in and select one of them. And this for some milestones, you can pick 2 of them, or it's all on the website. You can figure that out.
Yeah, I think most people won't reach these unless, you're staying quite a bit of nights. And the problem also, like, I think annual lounge membership is definitely the best reward on there for sure. I think the main issue with it is there have been some properties, not too many, but a few of them that have been renaming their club lounges to like something other than a club lounge, even though it's, literally just a club lounge, just to avoid giving out the benefit. That happened
Yeah,
to me with Hilton. The Conrad in Abu Dhabi has an executive lounge, but they don't call it that. They call it level 45. And so I didn't get access to it, which is so stupid. Like
that's
it's literally
cringe.
just a club
I
lounge.
don't like when individual properties try to like skate around the terms of the program. Like you might think you're saving some money by not offering all the perks or the upgrades or the program, but really like I forgot where I read this, but like a big portion of a hotel's revenue is from like people with loyalty with that program, and if like you don't treat them well, they're going to go to different competitors. And I think it's financially nonsensical in the long run to save a little bit on these things. It just makes guests feel uncomfortable, when you don't honor all the benefits.
I agree 100%, especially in this case, because it's like with the Hilton Diamond one, like I was annoyed, but at least I got my diamond from a credit card, and that's how most people get it. But like for IHG, like to get the annual lounge membership, you actually have to stay the 40 nights. Like there's no way around that.
Yeah.
So if you're someone, because I know there was like an intercontinental somewhere in Asia doing it, and if you're someone that like had earned that benefit, and then I show up to an intercontinental and you're telling me you just renamed your lounge, I'm gonna be really mad. Like
Yeah.
I actually earned that. Like I didn't cheat my way to it like with my Hilton Diamond or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, every program has its advantages and disadvantages, but like I think overall, both Sean and I agree that like this is a really underrated program, even despite a few disadvantages, like between the fourth night free, the buying the points, the certificates on the credit cards that easily justify an annual fee. Like you could save so much money and upgrade your travel um, by studying this program.
I agree 100%. This is one of the most underrated programs out there. There's so many benefits that you can get from it. And just not enough people are taking a look at it. I think that's everything on my mind too. Is there anything else you have?
Awesome. I think we can just wrap up here. Shaun, do you want to plug the Discord and all the referral stuff?
Exactly. Yeah, so if you did enjoy this video, please take a look at the links in the description. So we'll have a link to the Award Travel Discord. So there's an Award Travel Discord group, completely free. You can talk with some other very, very smart people about award travel, whether it be IHG, whether it be airline redemptions, whether it be any type of travel or credit cards. A lot of smart people in there. And then also, if you did want to apply for a credit card that we discussed today, or just any credit card in general, and you want to support this podcast, please take a look at our affiliate links in the description. Make sure the sign up offers are competitive, but if you do use them, it helps us out a ton. Like, seriously, helps us out so much. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.